What if an ex-FBI agent shared his deepest know-hows of how to win over most stubborn spies? In this video, the former FBI investigation agent will unveil the secrets of how you can make people to trust you instantly and thoroughly. These skills can make people love and trust you even for the rest of their life. The Like Switch, the book about various and detailed methods to turn on the switch that will make people to trust, honor, and even love you. Let's dig in. The author of this book, Dr. Schafer, spent 15 years conducting counterintelligence and counter-terror investigations and 7 years as a behavioral analyst for the FBI's National Security Division's Behavioral Analysis Program. According to Dr. Schafer, when people want to become close to you, unconsciously they send certain signals. Let's take a look at that after I mention a short but very interesting story from this book. Firstly, author says something interesting in the beginning of the book. He says, when you think of the FBI, people will not think of it as the friendly Bureau of Investigation. However, in fact, contrary to popular belief, the author, Dr. Schafer, rather played the role of a friendly next-door neighbor when he was in the FBI. Perhaps we can say that in the sense of good cop and bad cop, he would be a good cop buying donuts and coffee for the guy, soothing and comforting with his words. Let's take a look at one example in the book. There was a captured spy, his name was Vladimir from Russia, who came to spy the United States. It is said that when Vladimir was captured, he swore an oath that he would never reveal anything to FBI agents. Ironically, in the interrogation room, the author did the opposite of what we can think of. He would arrive at the interrogation room in the morning, read his newspaper, then folded it and leave after few hours, without saying anything. And he said he did this every day. Every day, he goes into the interrogation room, reads the newspaper in the morning, greets him with a smile, and when the time is over, folds the newspaper and leaves. Vladimir is said to have asked why he came into his room every day to read the newspaper and left without a word. And every time he asked this question, he said, "I just want to talk to you when you're comfortable and ready to talk to me." And one day finally, Vladimir said, "I want to talk to you, but I will never say anything about the spying." So the two start a conversation without talking about spying. Their lies, anecdotes, and funny stories. And finally, Vladimir confesses that he's ready to talk about his espionage. Why did Vladimir speak freely and honestly? Not because he was forced to speak, the author says, but because Vladimir genuinely liked Dr. Schafer as a person and considered him a friend. We will briefly summarize the secret of making someone sincerely like you and open their hearts through the Dr. Schafer's book, The Like Switch. One thing is certain, we either like people or we dislike them, but there is a psychology that you want people to like you. Some may say I'm not that crazy about these things, but I am certain that everyone wants people to like you to a certain extent. In The Like Switch, the author says that there are proven ways you can make people like you in almost instant, even more you can make them like you for the rest of their life. I want to start by saying this: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Not only that, but the book teaches you how to also build successful friendships and all kinds of relationships at home and at work. Let's see if that's really the case. First point. The author divided the occupational groups who would be beneficial to which the methodology in this book can be applied. A salesman who is just starting out, a salesman with an already experienced career who needs to do more in the future, a parent who needs to manage all kinds of jobs and to maintain with their children's relationships, and people seeking for romantic relationship. Second point. Scientists have discovered that there are gestures that our brain recognizes as friendly and starts favoring the people instantly. Making eye contact, raising eyebrows, tilting the head, and lifting the chin. Third point. You may have heard that in order to succeed in love and win over one's heart, he or she needs to recruit people around the person, figure out his or her movements and what they like and dislike. The person who made this effort and made it work will think it was their own effort, of course, but the other person would say that love was made by random coincidence. According to Dr. Schafer, this kind of effort is actually scientifically valid. Let me explain the formula that Dr. Schafer came up with. Please follow through with us and take notes, because we are about to dive in deeply. The key formula for building strong relationships with people consists of proximity, frequency, duration, and intensity. Proximity refers to proximity of actual distance. To overcome the disadvantages of long-distance dating, an app like Tinder, which is location-based services, was born. Frequency, in other words, seeing each other more frequently helps tremendously when winning one's love. overlapping with the other person's frequent place of visit, such as office, restaurants, and such. Then, gradually increase the duration, the length of time of encounter, and intensity, how strongly you can satisfy the other person's psychological or physical needs. Often, it will start with simple curiosity. One of the psychological strengths that the author says is just by showing your interest, you can give the other a curiosity towards you. And if you can satisfy their psychological needs, what they desire, what they have in need, are key factors you will need to fill in. Fourth point. There are two main types of signals that the author emphasizes: friend signal and faux signal. There are times when you need to send a faux signal, a hostile gesture, as opposed to sending a friend signal to get closer to the person you want. If you're often targeted by street beggars, it's probably because you're sending them the wrong friend signal. You need to know how to properly send the faux signal, which is the opposite of the friend signal. Let me tell you about the author's experience. As a teenager, the author said he walked through an unfamiliar and slightly dangerous neighborhood, and the hood people were staring at him. An elderly man in the neighborhood who watched this approached him and gave him this advice: walk as if you are going somewhere. Wave your arms naturally and walk as if you have a direction. If someone talks to you, reply as if you have something to say. If you do, you won't be a target for crime or harassment. I emphasize that this advice the author received applies to more places than you might think. Your gestures and communication, like what you say, are said to send signals to the people around you. Fifth point. Now let's take the example of a waiter in a restaurant using the friend signal. This time the book reveals the secret to getting more tips from customers. The author has summarized these methods into about 7 ways. Simple and gentle touch, like tap on their shoulder. In the case of a female waiter, put something on their hair. When you do this, the customer, male or female, will give you more tips. Applaud on what the customer has ordered and provide extra service, and apply the golden rule. The golden rule is the golden rule from the Bible. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Sixth point. Can you recognize the friend signal and the faux signal through someone else's posture? According to the author, just by looking at the shape and posture of your feet, you can tell whether or not you are in the right place. I will explain with pictures. This is the shape of your feet when you are having a private conversation. This is the shape of people's feet where you can join in. So let's simulate a situation. If there's a group you want to join in a conversation and there's an open shape of posture, go in confidently. People definitely prefer people who are confident. The author advises that there is a difference between confidence and arrogance, so you should act accordingly. Second situation. First, listen to the conversations of the people, determine if it is a conversation you can join in, and check the shape of their posture. If you want to join the conversation, you have to send a friend signal with a moderate nod, gestures such as tilting and raising an eyebrow. When it becomes unnatural or awkward, the other party often cannot accept it as a friend signal and even rejects it. The important thing is to practice until it becomes natural to you. The law of humor. The right amount of humor lifts people's mood tremendously. The famous American writer Hillary Hinton Ziegler once said, "People don't care about how much you know until they first know how much you care." I can't emphasize this enough, so let me say this once more. People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. But being able to give the people you care a laugh is a good way to express that you care. Based on the true story of how a former FBI agent turned a spy into his friend, this book is about how to develop a relationship. The development of the book was very interesting because it was written in a way that a scientist would list and explain which method was effective through the results of the experiment. He definitely provided the reader a good social tool for our life. Thank you for watching the video, and I will conclude a video with Dr. Schafer's quote that would be another important point upon reading this book.
Whatever you did, can you do it some more now? Swear you got me falling for your gasoline. Whatever you get, can you take some more?